It's 1960 and you're in your geography class. Maybe you're not paying attention quite as much as you should be. Fair enough, sometimes geography can be boring. Well, you might be a bit scared when your teacher would suddenly call on you and ask you to name the 5 largest lakes in the world. Don't worry, I'll give you a little bit of a hint. This is the story of the Aral Sea and rising from the desert. So the answer to the largest lakes in 1960 would be the Caspian Sea, Lake Superior, Lake Victoria, the Aral Sea, and Lake Michigan. I'm going to reckon you've probably heard about 4 of the 5, and I'm going to probably say that you haven't heard of the Aral Sea. Well, in order to learn more about it, we're going to jump ahead 65 years to 2025. Maybe this time you're on your phone as opposed to falling asleep. The answer would be slightly different, as it would be now the Caspian Sea, Lake Superior, Lake Victoria, Lake Huron, and Lake Michigan. Where'd the Aral Sea go? Well, I can guarantee you none of the other lakes exponentially grew. So, this is the Aral Sea, as you can see. It's right between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. I should have put an arrow there, I didn't. And it's quite large. And then this is it in 2000. It's a little bit smaller. We're going to go through some more slides to show it in a second. This is in 2001. And as you can see, it's getting pretty small, all the way up to 2014 when it's completely barren. All that white salt you see around there is salt, and that's because all of the water's evaporated, but salt doesn't evaporate. You've done that in pretty much any science class, I can assure you. So this is where we are today in 2024. This is what it looked like in 1985 as a reminder. So that's a little bit alarming. And as a scale of how massive it was then, it's pretty alarming. This was a massive fishing industry, and as the water just evaporated, so did the fishing industry, and you couldn't get the boats out because it doesn't connect to any massive body of water. So there's entire boat and ship graveyard just sitting around. That particular boat is called the Karakalpakia, and it was a fishing trawler, but now it just sits there. It has nothing to do except just sit there and rot. So what happened to the Aral Sea? As it's pretty obvious, there was dramatic shrinking and the collapse of local ecosystems, communities, fishing, and agriculture due to salinization. But what actually happened to the Aral Sea? Well, in the 1960s, the Soviet Union, as Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan were part of the Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev had a massive idea. Oh, I want to make the Central Asia the central of agriculture in the entire world. So he turned to farming, to the most annoying crop that you could possibly grow, cotton. It needs massive amounts of pesticide and massive amounts of water. So how are we going to get this water? Well, we have this massive freshwater lake. Let's just tap that. So they diverted the 2 rivers, the Syr Darya and the Amu Darya, that connect into the Aral Sea, to the fields of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan to grow cotton. And this actually worked for a while. Uzbekistan grew to be the 4th largest producer of cotton in the world. That's pretty significant. But here's the deal. There was not enough water flowing into the lake to sustain the levels, so it gradually shrank to what we see today. So this not only brought about pollution, as there's more salinization, and it's quite windy, it's in arid conditions, so the salt is blowing and actually destroying the fields in turn. There's toxic dust storms blowing salt, and guess what? Anthrax. Because the Vozrozhdeniya, pardon my pronunciation, I don't speak Kazakh or Russian, they had an entire island dedicated to growing and biomedical weapons, and basically just modifying, like anthrax and the plague, to be good weapons if they so need it. So by using the Aral Sea to cover it, that'll be good, until the Soviet Union collapsed. Uh-oh, they don't need that anymore. Kazakhstan doesn't need it. So they just left it in disrepair. And surely enough, anthrax started escaping, and the plague. So now there's just random outbreaks of the plague all over Central Asia sometimes, which is a little bit alarming. But this is the political and economic impact of the Aral Sea. Well, we know obviously the Soviet Union caused it, and even though it protected their bioweapons, they hated the Aral Sea, and at one point they even called it a useless evaporator. That hurts a lot. Due to the political boundaries and tensions of the post-USSR, Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan couldn't really do a lot. I mean, their economies were crashing, and now that the Aral Sea was drying up, their agriculture was suffering massively too. Over 1.3 million educated workers left Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, or about 1/15 of their population. But due to innovation and restoration, water diversion projects, irrigation management and drip irrigation, the new insights into the economy recovery, resilience, and how they can recover started to grow. And as they built a new dam, just recently in, I think, 2002, the Cockerell Dam, it started to divert the water back into the Aral Sea as a hope to try and bring back that massive industry that collapsed. All the fishing towns around there employed roughly 30,000 people. And with the evaporation of the lake on a scale of that, what are they going to do? They can't do anything because their boats are in the sand. So they just had to move. They had to flee. So the Cockerell Dam actually brought back quite a lot of the industry. So the entire eastern lobe, as we saw before, it's not going to go back, that's okay, is gone. There's no hope for that. That can't recover. But the North Aral Sea, that very bit at the top, has actually come back quite rapidly. It went from a freshwater lake to a saltwater lake, back to a freshwater lake. And fish are actually coming back into the ecosystem, which is completely remarkable. And another great thing about the Aral Sea and how we've managed to recover, not recover, doing better, is that it's actually bringing more attention to the issue of ecological disasters. It's something tangible that you can see and you can touch. With global warming, you can feel it getting warmer, but there isn't something you can see and be like, oh yeah, that's a pure example of this. But with the Aral Sea, you can very clearly see, ooh, that's not very good. So the Aral Sea has broken boundaries in terms of environmental, political, and technical challenges. For example, for the environment, they use the Cockerell Dam to recover and completely innovated water use management. There's so many other lakes around the world, like Lake Popo in Bolivia, the Great Salt Lake, Lake Arima, and Lake Chad that have been completely desecrated as well, but the Aral Sea has been able to at least partially recover. Soviet-era mismanagement has led to Kazakhstan being able to recover better than the USSR provided them, because Kazakhstan actually has lots of oil, so people love trading with countries with oil, so they've been able to work with other countries such as the US to get money from the World Bank to restore this Great Lake. Not many governments actually will focus on environmental or ecological issues. They are more focused on finance or building giant bombs that can blow us several times over. But the Kazakhstani government, contrary to what anyone would believe, did something, and they cared about the environment, which it's absolutely amazing. As mentioned before, the pioneering water management techniques, such as the Cockerell Dam, better irrigation solutions, and providing a base for restoration of bodies of water around the world. Although agriculture has come back into the region a bit more, it's never going to be back to the full potential of what it once was, which is probably a good thing, because pesticides and more salt getting into the lungs of people and killing people, I'd say maybe keeping your population alive as to producing that extra ton of cotton is probably a better idea. So we face similar, you may think that's just a Central Asia issue. Surely there's nothing in the United States that could ever reach this level. Well, we got a couple of those issues here. The Mississippi River is also shrinking rapidly, and the Great Salt Lake is also, it's going to completely evaporate by 2050 if we don't do anything. And I kind of think we need the Great Salt Lake. We need to go out there and just email your representatives, call up your senators and say, like the Chesapeake Bay even is massive regions of hypoxia, which is just complete oxygen. Fish are dying, and we like the Chesapeake Bay. 72% of Maryland is under drought conditions, 83% of the Midwest is in drought conditions, and 100% of Howard County are under some form of drought conditions. There's so much drought out there caused by global warming and just completely terrible water management. Like, I'm sure if you brush your teeth, you'll probably just leave the tap on. Please don't. Save the water. And once these bodies of water have been damaged, they're not coming back. The Aral Sea, they've done so much to do it, it's never going to be back to the way it once was. The best time to change is the present. People weren't able to stop the Aral Sea, but we have the science, the knowledge, the ability to change our habits, and most importantly, we have money. The United States is so rich. We can, spare that extra money to maybe fix the Mississippi River, the Great Salt Lake. Maybe don't fire national park workers, an idea. So what better time to start than now? We can completely change the future for generations to come. It's not an issue of only today. It's for what we can do in the future to save our economy. Thank you.